Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Father and Son Pastime podcast. I'm Patrick.
I'm Kevin.
That's my dad.
How are you?
We are doing our culminating activity with our dream teams. As you've been watching all summer and really all of 2020, we've delved into each team's dream team of players, our choices. We've done our research. We've talked about the face of the franchise. We've done a lot of deep research into these teams.
Yes.
So now we're doing our dream team.
Yes.
Out of MLB's history, we are choosing the top 25 players to form our teams. Before you judge about anything you see about how, why'd you choose this person or that, try doing it for yourself. It's incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
You'll find yourself being biased, and my dad and I made it just a little bit harder. So we couldn't share the same person. Like Johnny Bench couldn't be both on our teams. So we had to literally do random draw based off cards, and whoever drew the higher card got to pick that person, and then we were just, off air for a little bit, quickly choosing our backups to some of our choices that we both share. We'll share those on air today as well. What we had to draw a random card for just to make sure we got that player. So we did share a lot of similar thoughts. So I agree with what my dad came out for his original 25. I'm sure he agreed with my 25. Now we're asking you, out of the choices we're about to tell you, who do you think would win in a best of 7 series? My dream team or his dream team? So best of 7 series.
That's a pretty good one.
Who would win? So what we're going to do is we're going to go offense first, and we're going to go pitching. I think we both chose 15 position players and 10 pitchers.
We did.
So we're going to go who our catchers were, and then work our way around the infield, then work our way around the outfield, and get to pitching. We talked about Johnny Bench. He chose... Go ahead.
I chose Johnny Bench as my starter, and Yogi as my backup.
Yes. So I had Johnny as my original backup. I had Ivan Rodriguez as my starter, so both our stars were set there, so I had to choose a different backup. He picked the higher card for Bench. I went with Carlton Fisk as that secondary choice.
Great choice.
So I got both Pudges. So Ivan and Carlton as my catching duo, and you have Yogi and Bench. Sorry, Bench as your starter, Yogi as your backup.
The great thing about Carlton Fisk, he's always the captain of his team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is a great leadership. So
there's a lot of captains on this team.
Yes,
there are a lot of captains.
Yes.
But yeah, before we get any more into it, let's talk about just some players that we're going to have to relegate to the bench. Like, for example, Stan the Man Musial is on my bench. He's not starting.
Hank Aaron's on my bench.
So in our little hypothetical dream world, we have to now have conversations with these players saying, hey, you're not starting today, Stan. I know you hit 400 or whatever. Like, I'm sorry. There's someone else better for you, better that's starting above you. So that's incredibly difficult. So I know like people's favorite players will be mentioned and maybe not get the respect they deserve. Really try to do this on your own. It's very challenging, and especially for any baseball duo with maybe talk about it over Thanksgiving break with your dad or with your son.
Yeah.
You'll get into some arguments that aren't political over Thanksgiving, which is always fun.
Yeah.
For first base, we both had Lou Gehrig. I chose the higher card in this one, so I kept Lou Gehrig. Dad, who's your starter?
Ernie Banks and Miguel Cabrera as my backup.
And I have Frank Thomas as a backup, as a first baseman or a DH. So that's how I'm going to slot that in there as well. I lost out to my dad's choice on the DH. Dad, who'd you pick as DH?
DH, I had David Ortiz. Jim Tomei as my backup.
Was Jim Tomei making your 25
He
man?
He did make the backup.
But David Ortiz did.
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha.
He's not going to come out of the game.
He's just going to hit. For second, we came up with different choices here, so we didn't have to draw or anything like that. Roberto Alomar is my overall choice, who, again, holds the most gold gloves at second base, so easy choice for me.
Yeah.
And his backup is Craig Biggio, one of the best athletes to ever play the game.
Yeah. I had Rogers Hornsby, just a phenomenal player, legendary hitter, one of the old school players that we have on our teams. But again, when they select the best of all time for second baseman, he comes up the most often.
And again, the era bias of what I saw play second, Alomar and Biggio, and what you saw play second.
Yeah.
Of course, we debated on the best shortstop of all time, which we both thought was Derek Jeter.
Yes.
I got lucky in that one. I put out the higher card. So Derek Jeter is my starter with Honus Wagner as my backup. Yes, a backup.
And I have Cal Ripken as my starter, and then Ozzie, but he's not on my bench. So he's just a backup, but he didn't make the bench.
So Cal Ripken is your sole shortstop.
Yep, but I have people to replace him.
Good thing he's the Iron Man.
Yeah, that's right. That's it.
Yeah.
So in case we got to slot some people over, George Brett is a suitable replacement. He can play short.
It's craziness.
Yeah, I know.
Third base, we also had some uncontested choices. I went with defense here as well in both regards. Brooks Robinson, currently the most Gold Gloves ever, who I think will be eventually beaten by the current player, the only current player on my team, Nolan Arenado, as a backup third baseman. I do think Nolan overtakes Brooks' all-time Gold Glove record.
I had Mike Schmidt, and George, again, as the backup, made the bench. But Mike, I think of all the third basemen, has the most home runs.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
Would you sacrifice, since we're getting a little off top here, and you don't have a backup shortstop, would you sacrifice giving up Miguel Cabrera for Ozzie Smith? So you got Ernie Banks, David Ortiz. Or would you rather keep Miguel?
I'm going to keep Miguel just because it's another hitter off the bench. If my game comes into pinch hitters, what a great pinch hitter to have.
You're right, and Ozzie Smith isn't going to hit a home run for you.
No. He'll do a hell of a backflip.
He will.
He's not going to win a game.
All right, let's go over the starters again. So DH, I have Frank, and you have David Ortiz.
Correct.
I do think David Ortiz is the best DH to ever play the game. So in that head-to-head matchup, he wins there. Ivan Rodriguez versus Johnny Bench. That's the big toss-up that we've been debating throughout this whole podcast.
I think Johnny Bench is a better offensive catcher.
He is a better offensive catcher. Defensively, Ivan Rodriguez wins because he has more Gold Gloves.
Yes.
So tough call.
Yeah.
Lou Gehrig, I think, absolutely is the best first baseman of all time.
I agree.
You with Ernie Banks, who's, again, shortstop and first baseman.
Right.
Maybe Ernie Banks can slide over to backup Ripken and Miguel Cabrera starts.
There you go. I love the versatility.
Versatility is very important.
Yes.
So, again, that's what we have. Second, we're going Roberto Alomar versus Roger Hornsby.
Oof.
Rogers Hornsby, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Derek Jeter versus Cal Ripken Jr.
Oof.
And Brooks Robinson versus Mike Schmidt.
Oof. Rough.
This is what we were talking about right now, where it's like, wow, who do you pick? I think defensively, I'm better. And I think offensively, you're better.
I'll give you that.
Because you got, again, look at the numbers. Bench, Rodriguez, bench.
And Bench is a better offensive catcher than Rodriguez.
Yes. It was a bet from a couple podcasts ago, if you're not getting it. Hornsby can hit Alomar, but higher averages, but Alomar's better defensively.
Easy, yes.
Jeter,
better defensively
than Cal Ripken.
Yeah, but
offensively, it's pretty close, too.
Right.
Ripken has more home runs. Jeter has more hits. I think Jeter has more hits. And then Mike Schmidt, definitely better offensively than Brooks Robinson.
Yeah.
Whew! Good thing we'll talk about pitching, because right now it's defense versus offense.
Yeah.
The irresistible object meets the immovable force.
Yeah,
irresistible object meets...
Very
yeah.
Very good.
All right, to left, I have Ted Williams starting and Stan the Man Musial as left and right pots, because he could play both positions as sort of a backup outfielder.
I got Barry Bonds, and he'll hit 714.
Now, remember, we're testing for steroids all this time.
He's awful now.
He's still a great player.
Yes.
I really do think he...
Even when he was in Pittsburgh, he was a great player.
That's what I'm saying, 30 for 30 guy.
Yeah.
And who's your backup?
Well, Rickey, but Rickey got cut.
So Rickey didn't make your bench?
No. I wanted him to be the bench, but I didn't have room.
So you just have a sole Barry Bonds in left field. I have Ted and Stan. Okay.
Yeah.
Center field. Oh, we did debate about Ted Williams, by the way. We did have to draw on that. So it's an easy choice. Ken Griffey Jr. is my pick in center. And the backup, sorry, Yankee fans, is Mickey Mantle. Dad?
I got Willie Mays as a starter. Joe DiMaggio on the bench. Joe DiMaggio on the bench.
Mickey Mantle on the bench.
Yes. Think about that.
I would actually say...
Sitting next to Hank Aaron.
Mickey Mantle's my fifth outfielder. It's Stan the Man Musial at 4, and then Mickey Mantle at 5.
He's not going to be happy.
No, most of these people have big egos. And then right field, I have Tony Gwynn. No backup.
I got Babe Ruth. Hank Aaron as a backup on the bench. If I need a quick home run, guess who I'm calling?
So Miguel Cabrera, maybe. I don't know. Oh. So Barry Bonds, Willie Mays,
Babe Ruth. My outfield.
Okay.
And then on the bench, DiMaggio and Aaron on the bench.
I have Ted Williams, Griffey, and Gwynn. This is where I actually think Oh, God, it's so tough.
I'm going to hit you.
Yeah, you might. You got, just all the home runs there. Griffey and Willie Mays are only separated by 30 all-time home runs. Defensively and offensively, I would actually say they're pretty even.
Yeah.
Ted Williams, offensively, hit-wise, is better than Barry Bonds. Home run-wise, you also have to put a little asterisk there, the steroids. I think easy choice, people at home would choose Ted Williams over Barry Bonds there. Tony Gwynn, I love as a right fielder. Babe Ruth, we did have to draw for. He won on the draw. I would have put Babe Ruth there. Ichiro Suzuki is also a close sixth outfielder. But I went Tony Gwynn just because how offensive-minded he is. Great eye, strike out very little. I got average and defense. You have power, but you're going to strike out. You got more strikeouts.
Yeah, but
I guarantee you, more strikeouts.
Earl Weaver. get two guys on base, wait for the 3-run home run. That's how you win ball games.
That's the offense.
And there's a lot of home runs in that lineup.
It's a lot of home runs in that lineup. Okay.
And they're playing in Fenway.
This is pretty even. I'm telling you. And of course, it's at Fenway. It's the best ballpark. All right, now we're talking pitching. God. Check out the comments because I'm going to put this all in the comments for our or the description. I mean, for you to debate and see. Starters, my Game 1 or Game 7 starter, however you want to look at it, the ace, my best pitcher that I've ever seen play baseball, Pedro Martinez.
Bob Gibson.
So there's your calling card. And the aerodominant. I had Bob Gibson as a later starter. He had them ranked higher, so I had to back off of Bob. Did you have Pedro at all in your top 5?
I did.
No. Pedro was dominant in those late 90s, early 2000s. Yeah. Again, he got to see Bob pitch. I did not. I've only seen highlights. I got to see Pedro pitch. Pedro, at his size, what he could do with the baseball is extremely impressive.
Well, remember we saw him warm up, before an Oriole game.
Yep.
Through the length of the field. On a rope.
Just warming up.
Yeah. Just getting the arm loose.
Yeah.
I agree.
And again, neither of these people, when everyone thinks baseball is all about throwing 100 miles per hour, Pedro nor Bob Gibson would throw 100 miles per hour. It's that workhorse. It's that pitching the location.
Painting the corners.
For sure.
I agree.
Speaking of painting the corners, my number 2 starter is Greg Maddux.
Okay.
Who you had to back off about, obviously, because I chose him a little highly ranked than you, and you have
Steve Carlton.
So you have another person that's a workhorse that's going to get you.
Oh my God, yes.
Start, never get
another
injured.
Big pitcher, by the way. Big physical pitcher.
Yeah. Then I have my workhorse of Bob Feller, who just is going to throw 300 innings a season type of thing, and then never get injured and go serve the military for a few years and still keep pitching. And you chose
Tom Seaver.
You got Seaver. I have then Sandy Koufax, finally a lefty in my starting rotation. Truly dominant for the years he did play.
Yeah. Nolan Ryan.
Nolan Ryan is your 4th. And then another lefty for me with Randy Johnson, because everyone needs a 6'10" guy in their lineup.
And I have Fergie Jenkins, who's 6'6".
What we got too?
We got some power forwards in here.
We do have some big guys.
Yeah.
So Martinez, Maddux, Feller, Koufax, Johnson for me. Yes, Randy Johnson is my 5th starter. And Bob Gibson, Steve Carlton, Tom Seaver, Nolan Ryan, and Fergie Jenkins. So the matchups would be Pedro and Bob Gibson, Carlton and Maddux. I like these matchups so far.
I know.
Bob Feller and Tom Seaver. Ooh, that's a game.
Yeah.
That's 9 innings.
Yeah.
Seaver and Bob Feller. Koufax and Ryan. And then Randy Johnson and Fergie Jenkins. Yeah, everything's actually pretty even.
Think about all 300 victories of all within those pitchers.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable.
Same. I mean, you're looking at 1,000 wins amongst 1,000 on your team, 1,000 on my team, something like that. Yeah,
easy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
We only had to really debate one person in our bullpen, which was Mariano Rivera, and he got to choose Mariano. So
probably the best of all time.
He is. So I'm a slightly unfair advantage with my bullpen. He's got the better closer. I think I have a better maybe 7-8. So Eckersley moved into the closer role at 9. Raleigh Fingers will be a setup. They've played on the same team before with Oakland, so maybe that helps. John Franco, people sleep on him. John Franco is a fantastic reliever, and I need a lefty in here for sure. Then I have Goose Gossage, and then I have John Smoltz, who, again, if I need to pitch long relief, got to consider that as a former starter and turn to a closer for a couple years in Atlanta. I went John Smoltz. So who is your bullpen for the fans at home?
I went a couple lefties in there just to have a little balance. But again, closers, Mariano, Trevor Hoffman, Randy Myers, just a great left-handed pitcher. He could be like a setup guy. Somebody throws 105, Chapman, Rallis Chapman, and Lee Smith coming in 7th to 8th that throws 98 plus. So in there, I have some good power heat from the left side and power heat from the right side, and the best cut fastball in baseball, Mariano Rivera.
It's a who wins.
So you get to the 9th inning, and who has the lead? Who you want in there, Rivera or Eckersley?
Rivera. So best closer of all time.
That's an edge.
I need to be ahead by the 9th. I get that. Keep in mind, the only time that I'm going to bring up right now that Rivera was not at his peak was the 2004 ALCS Game 4, bottom of the 9th, Rivera pitching.
Yeah.
So just keeping that in mind.
He had the flu.
He is capable of blowing saves.
I think it was 1.
Yeah, I think it might have been 1.
Yeah.
But again, he didn't play this team. He didn't play this dream
I
team.
know. I mean, there's no weaknesses on that team.
I don't know who wins. And
I don't either.
And of course I want to say mine. I'm sure you want to say yours. But objectively, you're comparing 120 years of history on one piece of paper. I mean, honestly, my oldest player is Honus Wagner. Your oldest player is
Hornsby.
Rogers Hornsby. so right up the middle. They would never have seen some of the pitches and speed that Pedro might be throwing or Randy Johnson might be throwing.
They couldn't catch up. I agree.
Again, I think it's just tough.
I think Bob Feller was the hardest thrower of his era.
Yeah.
And he threw in the 90s, which was unheard of back then. And that's what made him a dominant pitcher. Because he was a big man, by the way.
The speed and dominance of these pitchers could be too much for some of those early hitters. But again, it's Stan Musial, it's Ted Williams. They can adapt. I
know.
It's tough. It's tough because you're playing the series in this hypothetical world with the pitchers of today and all that stuff, and obviously the speed that they're able to do.
Yeah.
So does that mean that people can adjust, or it's going to be blown right by them? It's just tough.
I think the challenge is going to be when you get to see that pitcher for the third or fourth time. Do you adjust yourself and then get some hits? I mean, today's baseball, the first 3 innings, you kind of see the pitcher, kind of get a feel what he's going to throw them. By the time they see him a third time, they seem to have a much better idea what might be coming and how the breaking ball is going to go. Here, you get into the bullpen and it's like, okay. But, a lot of the starters were 9-inning pitchers back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
It's the people that were left off the list, it's another, Hall of Fame thing that they couldn't get on the list because they're so great. But then, you look down the list and you say, how in the heck do you don't have a team with these people?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. You could, at home, disagree with every single one of our picks and have a completely different 25-man roster and contend in a best-of-7 series.
Oh, yeah.
There's still those people on the team.
Yeah.
I like the fact that we had to be completely unique in our 25 rather than saying, oh, of course, Ted Williams. Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Pete Rose isn't on either one of our lists.
Yeah.
Hits leader. Rickey Henderson, you said fell off.
Yeah.
Who else did you say that fell off?
I had to make some cuts along the way.
Ozzie Smith fell off.
Yeah. Jim Tomei. One of the greatest, hitters. Just all that. He couldn't sniff the bench. On a team, we left off Eddie Murray, Willie McCovey.
Mike Trout.
Yeah.
Who should
Rod
honestly
Carew.
be in this conversation.
Yeah, if you go...
Roberto Clemente.
Yeah. Wade Boggs.
Ichiro Suzuki.
Yeah. Yeah.
Carly Scramsky.
Yeah. Reggie Jackson. It goes on and on and on, and you're like, it's not good to do this.
No, it's not. Again, you can go top 50, top 100 people, and it's just...
Yeah.
There is true depth to every position in baseball, which I really love. Like Buster Posey, Joe Mauer, like recent players that honestly should have a conversation to be on this. If we're talking best catchers of all time, we could have done this in just individual positions, right?
Yeah.
We could have done each podcast about the top 5 at catcher, top 5 at first, top 5 at second.
And that would have been fun to do.
Yeah. But just coming up with the dream team that we're ready to roll out and say, this is the best 25 men ever assembled. It's tough. These are our Avengers.
Carl Yastrzemski.
I know.
Think about him.
No, yes.
Yeah.
They
didn't even get to the top 50. But yeah, that's the shame of it. But I hope you enjoyed it.
Let me see your full list here. I'm curious. I'm sorry for if you're Hank Greenberg.
Yeah.
Rod Carew, Harmon Killebrew, Willie McCovey. Sure. You're talking about Robin Yount. Yeah.
Eddie Matthews.
Yeah. Did you have Adrian Beltre or you didn't go with him?
He didn't make the list.
Yeah. Wow.
I went with Schmidt.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Duke Snyder. Yeah. Willie, Mickey, and the Duke. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it was fun to do the research, but do your own research, and you'll find out how difficult this is and how many people get left off that really shouldn't be left off.
Absolutely. It's no shade to anyone that we didn't choose. It's just we're trying to find a balanced team. You went with power, offensive numbers. I think majority of your people obviously are on that 500 home run club. I'm looking at a lot of 500 home run club people on your list. And I went with a lot of, hey, who is the best defender? Who has most Gold Gloves in history of that position? Yeah. Arms. Where are you hitting the ball in the outfield? You got Teddy Williams, Tony Gwynn, and Griffey. Maybe Gwynn, but I don't know. Griffey's, I don't know. And you got
Mays and DiMaggio
and Ruth. It's just it's either going to be a lot of 1-0 games or pitchers are just going to be like
23-22.
Yeah. I don't know who's going to adjust.
Yeah.
I don't know who's going to adjust better. Pitchers to the best hitters they've ever faced.
Yeah. I can always bring in Babe Ruth as my last pitcher.
Yeah, there's your John Smoltz. He's like, he can be versatile.
That's right.
I can make Craig Biggio a center fielder, but he's not. He's not.
If it's 24-7, hey Babe, let's get loose. Let's flip that 76-mile-an-hour fastball.
Yeah.
But yeah. So
it's crazy. Well, we really enjoyed doing this.
Yes.
The next thing on our docket is to look obviously at the future of baseball. Look at the 2021 free agent pool. We'll do that in a couple weeks. And then focused on seeing what teams might need to be successful if and when a 2021 season happens.
Yeah.
Stay safe out there. I hope
Yes.
baseball comes back in a form where we can all enjoy it and watch it and be at the parks again, especially minor league baseball. I honestly miss that more than Major League Baseball or going to games at Major League Baseball stadiums.
I agree wholeheartedly. Be safe because right now, currently, it's really, this virus is spreading. Cases are unprecedented. So be safe, and we'll talk to you soon.
Please let us know whose team wins in a best of 7 series. Maybe we can make another bet on the line, Dad, and see who wins. But thanks for watching, and it's been an absolute pleasure doing all this Dream Team stuff with you.
Bye bye.